with the Bucs. The one-year deal is worth up to $6.5 million. He told NFL Network that this morning. Ryan Clark joining the show. RC, what is the good word? It's been a minute.
Oh, it's good, man. It's good. It's draft time, Molly. It's the best time of the year, at least for people like me.
I love it. All right, guys. I will start with you here, Max. What are the chances now with this AB signing? I've mentioned it all show long. 22 starters returning for this Bucs team. That the Bucs repeat.
They're really good. I mean, the Bucs at this moment should be the odds-on favorite to get out of the NFC, if not to win the whole thing. Let's see how we feel after the draft. But as you mentioned, Molly, when do you return all 22? And
right.
As Marcus Spears brought up in the first hour of this show, the fact is you're able to do it partly because you didn't just get, like in the NBA, you get a Blake Griffin who's toward the end, or LeBron, because he wants to play on a super team, or Mike Miller with LeBron early on. You got an Antonio Brown who still might be in his prime. We don't know. It's not like he was off the field because of his play on the field. And by the way, Antonio Brown in his prime put up numbers that would fit comfortably in the profile of Jerry Rice or Randy Moss. He's in that kind of argument at his best. And, guys, Tom Brady, it's about trust. He trusted, like, Julian Edelman. He trusts Gronkowski. Well, who caught touchdowns in the Super Bowl? There's AB. There's Gronk, the two best pass catchers of the era, and two guys who he has real trust with. So you mean to tell me now Brady, instead of trusting Edelman is now AB, and they got a defense and an offensive line? Ooh, it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot.
I don't have much to add. Antonio Brown is what he is. I think that, we got so caught up in the shenanigans and the flat-out stupidity. When you are, it's a Thursday, and all you have to do is shut up until Tuesday, and you're guaranteed $29 million, and you can't shut up. Something wrong with you. Period. There's no way around it. And so because of that, we got caught up in all of that, the secretly taping John Gruden calling him and stuff like that, and social media and going at the cops on social media and stuff like that. It just seemed bizarre. We got caught up in all of that, that it was easy to forget this is one of the best wide receivers the game has ever seen. And when we're talking about Antonio Brown and what he brings to the table, you just can't question his greatness as a talent at the wide receiver spot. And then to show up in Tampa the way that he did and cause no trouble, play in the Super Bowl hurt, by the way, still catches a touchdown, still catches 5 catches, ends up helping them win a Super Bowl championship. And this was him rusty. This was him preoccupied. Well, this season, all of this stuff is behind him. NFL, the case is going away, all right, and we understand that. And as a result of it, he's now free to focus on just football. And he's coming in at $3.1 million. Now, this is a man that has been about the bag. He's been about his bag, but he comes there for $3.1 million. I think it's safe to assume Antonio Brown could have gotten paid more than $3.1 million. But he went to Tampa because Tom Brady's there. And Tom Brady, that's who he wants to play with. That's who he wants to be with. And let's understand that while we're sitting here praising Antonio Brown and talent, let's give a lot of the praise to Tom Brady. Tom Brady wanted him in New England. He goes to Tampa. He wanted him there. We know Bruce Arians didn't want him. He was on the record saying he didn't need that in his locker room until Tom Brady got there. Then all of a sudden he was willing to take him on and take the chance, albeit with a no tolerance policy. But then he goes there. And remember, he needed 11 receptions to get a $250,000 bonus. And Tom Brady threw that brother the ball 15 times and got him his 11 receptions and got him his $250,000. Antonio Brown knows he could go elsewhere to make more, but he's found a brother in Tom Brady. And I think that we got to step back and just attribute the greatness of Tom Brady, not just as a talent, but as a leader, because clearly he wants that brother there, and Antonio Brown was willing to take less just to be with him. I think that can't be ignored.
Now, that absolutely can't be ignored, but I'm going to go back to something Max said. When you think about the fact that they signed all 22 starters, you go out, you get Giovanni Bernard, you now have Antonio Brown back, who's going to be your third wide receiver if you're talking about the perimeter, but he's the number one. And no, maybe he's not in his prime where he had that 6-year stretch where he was in the conversation for arguably the best wide receiver of all time. But think about the way he came along toward the end of the season. The game against the Washington football team. Obviously, the way he played in the Super Bowl. This dude is still a star, but he doesn't have to be a star every day in Tampa Bay. In Tampa Bay, if he got the right matchup, he'll make a play. And what we saw from him is with Tom Brady, with being in that atmosphere, with showing the gratefulness he has for that dude being a mentor for the person he's been to him, he also toes the company line of the way to behave. What they've created in Tampa Bay is different. It's very Patriot way, but it's Tom Brady way. It's Tom Brady wanting to do certain things. It's Tom Brady bringing people in. Excuse me, I don't know whose phone that is, but it's in my house. It's Tom Brady understanding that he needs these particular pieces in order to be great, and those pieces will take less money to be with him. Antonio Brown has reinvented himself. Antonio Brown has become someone else away from the field, but he is still a football player on it that does amazing things. And now they run it back in a way I don't think even Kansas City did. They run it back and they're better. What happens when teams win the Super Bowls, fellas? People go elsewhere and get money because they want to bring that Super Bowl pedigree into 31 other locker rooms. Well, none of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers left because they know what they have is special. Antonio Brown re-signing is just a part of that.
I like the fact, Ryan, that you got that old school newsroom telephone in your house somewhere. You got the rotary phone in the house. That's a rotary phone ring.
It hasn't rang in so long, I forgot it even worked. So I wasn't expecting
That's from the 70s. You got a phone in your house from the 70s.
For safety purposes, Max, okay? Are we good with this? We want to move on here, or we want to keep going? All right,
let's do it.
We'll keep it going. In an interview with NFL Network earlier this week, former NDSU quarterback Trey Lance said he's excited to prove people wrong again. He compared himself to a former quarterback from his alma mater, Carson Wentz, as an example of someone who came from playing FCS football and played well as a rookie. Stephen A., is Trey Lance the quarterback with the most to prove, considering what school he's coming from?
No, I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way. I think the quarterback with the most to prove is Zach Wilson, because Zach Wilson is going to be the number 2 overall pick. The Jets have been sold on him for a couple of months now. He's out of BYU. Everybody's talking about him, and he is the individual primarily responsible for the dip that Justin Fields has taken. Coming out of the finishing the college football season, we were talking about Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. And all of a sudden there's Mac Jones and there's Trey Lance, and but clearly the first one was Zach Wilson, being in that New York market, playing for the New York Jets, obviously bypassing Justin Fields, them being so sold on him, even though the level of competition he went up against doesn't compare to what Justin Fields had to go up against. Being all of those things considered, I think that Zach Wilson is the one with the most to prove. Lance coming out of North Dakota State, with Carson Wentz having the trouble that he had last season before ultimately being dealt from Philadelphia to Indianapolis. We know that's well documented. But he had some good years, and we know because of Carson Wentz and how he was once an